Mubyeyi urifuza guteganyiriza umwana wawe ejo heza, gana mu mashuri ya apejerwa ariyo Lycée de Ruhango-IKIREZI hamwe na Emeru Intwari. Muri Lycée de Ruhango-IKIREZI tubafitiye amashami akurikira: Culinary Art cyangwa se ibijyanye n'ubutetsi, hari level 1, level 3, level 4 ndetse na level 5. Food and Beverage Services tubafitiye level 3, level 4 ndetse na level 5. Tubafitiye kandi Accounting cyangwa se ibaruramari level 3, level 4 ndetse na level 5. Tubafitiye n'ubukanishi bw'amamodoka mu byiciro bikurikira: Auto Engine Technology level 3, Auto Transmission and Control System Technology level 4, Automobile Transmission and Control System Technology level 5. Tubafitiye n'ubwubatsi Masonry level ya 3, level ya 4 ndetse na level ya 5. Tubafitiye Tourism ubukerarugendo level ya 3, iya 4 ndetse n'iya 5. Turabibutsa ko tubafitiye n'icyiciro rusange Tonkome. Naho muri Emeru Intwari tubafitiye amashami y'umwaka umwe akurikira: Automotive Technology ubukanishi bw'amamodoka level ya mbere, Hairdressing ubwiza no gutunganya umusatsi level ya mbere, Tailoring ubudozi level ya mbere, Masonry ubwubatsi level ya mbere. Muri aya mashuri yombi tubafitiye abarimu b'inzobere harimo n'abaturuka hanze y'igihugu. Tubafitiye kandi n'amacumbi y'abakobwa ndetse n'ay'abahungu. Abanyeshuri bacu bakora ingendo shuri mu gihugu ndetse no hanze yacu. Tubaha umwanya wo kwimenyereza umwuga mu bigo bijyanye n'ibyo biga. Dukorera kandi graduation abanyeshuri basoje amasomo yabo. Aya mashuri aherereye mu mujyi wa Ruhango hafi ya gare. Ku bindi bisobanuro mwaduhamagara kuri 0788366219 cyangwa se 0722356668. Mwanaduhamagara kandi kuri 0788366213 cyangwa se 0788202285. Mwanadusura kuri website y'ishuri www.apejerwa.ac.rw. Umurimo ukozwe neza utuma batugirira icyizere.
Welcome to the session. My name is Alexi. I'm a trainer of Lycée de Ruhango-IKIREZI. Today we are going to see the module named to prepare the financial statement. This module is for level 5 accounting. The first session it is for the learning unit 1 to prepare the end of adjustment. Now, the learning outcome is number 3, named to calculate the calculation of annual depreciation. What we may ask ourselves is to know the meaning of depreciation. When you go through the definition, we may define the depreciation as a reduction in the value of an asset that occurs over the time as the asset gets older or as wear and tear occurs or unfavorable market condition. What we have to underline through this definition is maybe to underline the reduction. Reduction means a decrease of value of an asset. Now, if someone talk about reduction, they take for instance, if an asset have been acquired for 10 billions, you understand that after 2 years of use, the value of the asset have been decreased. Now we are going to see some factors which may cause the decrease of the value of the assets. The first one is the time. As if I'm talking about the time, you understand that the asset is acquired in the purpose of being used. Now, as if it is used, automatically the time will cause the decrease of the value of the asset as it is named the depreciation. Now, as the topic today is about calculating the depreciation, we are going to see some methods we may use for calculating depreciation. The methods we have to use, the first one is about straight line methods. That is maybe the easiest method of calculating the depreciation. The second is what we are calling diminishing balance method. If someone talk about diminishing, understand reducing. So the balance will reduce at the end of a certain period. So we shall see in the calculations how the balance will change or maybe will decrease or will diminish. Any other is what we are called double declining methods. Someone says declining, that is the decrease, is the same as this second method, but what we have to change is about doubling the rate we are using for this diminishing balance method. It will depend to the use and decision of management in order to use either diminishing balance methods or double declining methods. Any other method is what we are calling digit methods, where an asset shall be decreased or maybe shall be depreciated based on the digits. Any other methods is what we are calling unit of production methods. These methods of units shall be used for the production companies, where they have planned maybe the number of production that an asset acquired will be used for the first year, second year, third year, up to the last year. So based on those planned units of production, it will maybe help us to calculate the depreciation, as we have seen that depreciation is the decrease in value of the fixed assets. Now let us go through the exercises, through the example, to understand how the depreciation amount is calculated. Now, an example, we have a company called ABC, which has acquired a motor vehicle cost 35 million Rwanda francs on the 1st July 2018. This asset is to be used in 5 years. It has an expected salvage value of 5 million Rwanda francs. We are assuming that the year ends December 31st. Now, there is some important key before computing the important element we have to know before starting computing the annual depreciation. The first one, acquisition. You have to understand acquisition. It is the time in which the company has been bought an asset and maybe start to use that asset. It means that you acquire the new motor vehicles, and there is a certain time where the asset have been acquired, and there is the times of use. We have an expectation of using the asset in 5 years, and it have the salvage value amounted 5 million francs. Now, when someone talk about the salvage value, you have to understand the scrap value, or the value that an asset will be made at the end. An important thing you have to make an assumption in a business is maybe to highlight the year end, which will help to know the times from the acquisition to the fiscal year, let me say, because in generally the business may end it December 31st. It may end it 30 June. It will depend to the government, because in one country the year may end December 31st and in another year ended 30 June. Now, what we are going to calculate, we are going to calculate the depreciation for each year from 2018 up to 2023. You understand that this is from 2018 up to 2033. This is 6 years. But we have to count that the acquisition of these assets, it was on the 1st July. It is in the middle of the financial year. It is not for the beginning of the financial year. Now it means that for the first year, the depreciation shall be a part of the time which have been consumed, which have been used, and for the last year, once again, we will not calculate the depreciation for the whole year, but it will be the time that an asset remained for being used. Now, the last things you have to count is the record, because always when you are in accounting, the important things you have to highlight is about recording. Now, we shall record the transaction of acquiring the motor vehicle, and once again we shall records the depreciation for each year in January. Now, let me start with calculating the depreciation of each year, and then after we shall maybe start with the records. Now we are going to calculate the depreciation. Calculation of depreciation. This is under straight line methods. Under straight line methods. Now, when you are going to calculate, the important things you have to highlight is to know the formula. Now, let me give you the formula of calculating the annual depreciation formula. Depreciation equal to the cost of assets. Cost of assets we reduce the salvage value and we divide the service life. Now, if you remember well, I have underlined that some call the salvage value as a scrap value or the residual value. Now, let's go through the exercises or the example I have given to you. Remember that the cost of motor vehicle, if you remember for the example, it was 35 millions, and the salvage value was 5 millions, and the service life it was 5 years, and the acquisition time, this is acquisition, asset has acquired on 1st July in 2018. This is the time that an asset has been acquired. Now, I remind you that this formula of calculating depreciation, it is an annual depreciation. Now, let us go through the formula and calculate the annual depreciation. Depreciation will be equal to the cost of motor vehicle, which is equal to 35 millions. We reduce the salvage value according to the formula minus 5 millions, and then we shall divide with the service life, which is estimated for 5 years. Now, it is simple to find that 35 millions minus 5 is equal to 30 millions, and you have to divide with 5. We shall get the sum of amount of money of 6 million. Now, the 6 million is the amount of annual depreciation. And as if we are talking about annual, you have to understand 12-month consecutive. 12-month consecutive. Now, the question is, for the time of acquisition, on the period of acquiring the asset have acquired in July 2018, it means that the depreciation for for the first year, 2018, will not equal to the total amount of annual depreciation, because the assets have been used for from the 1st July up to, this is up to 31st December 2018. So we are going to count the month from July up to December 2018. Now, when you are from July up to December, because you have to count once again the first month, so we understand that it is equal to a half of year, which equal to 6 months. This is from July up to December. Now we are going to compute the depreciation for the first year based on the month that the motor vehicle have been used. Now let me write depreciation for 2018 will be equal to 6 million times 6 months that an asset have been used, and then we divide with the number of months that year just have 12 months. Now the answer is 3 million. It means that in 2018 the depreciation amount will be equal to 3 million, which is correlated to the number of months that an asset have been used. Now, under the exercises, we were required to calculate the depreciation from the first year up to the last year. Now, let us compute. Depreciation for 2019 will be equal to the original costs. This is original costs minus the salvage value over the service life, and maybe the asset have been used during a whole year, which means that the depreciation amount will be equal to 6 million. Now we are going to compute the depreciation for 2020. Now, as maybe the motor vehicle have been used during the whole year, once again the depreciation will remain constant. Now, depreciation for 2021. Once again, the assets have been used for a whole year. It will once again remain as 6 million. And we continue with the depreciation for 2022. Once again, which will be continue to be constant. Now, when you count from 2018 up to 2022, you shall maybe consider that those are the full years. The asset have been used for 12 months in a year, but maybe for the first year, the asset have been used for only 6 months. It means that for arriving to the 5 years of service life, we remain with another 6 months to be used in 2023 in order to maximize the 5 years of use. It means that the depreciation for 2023 will not be a whole, but will be proportional with 6 months remaining, which means that we have to multiply with 6, and then we divide with 12, and then we shall maybe have 3 millions. what you have to ask yourselves is where the 6 is coming from, and maybe 12 is coming from again. So understand that the 6th month is the time remained in order to arrive to the 5 years of service life. Now 12 is equal to the total month of the whole year, because each year or financial year has 12 months. Now we are going to the second step of making the record. This is the first one of calculation of depreciation. Then we are going to the second step of recording depreciation. I remind you that if someone talk about recording, always you have to understand a journal. We have to understand the journal. Now we are going to record the depreciation for each year, and you shall see the effect of depreciation to the financial statement. We are going to the second step of recording the annual depreciation. Recording depreciation. I remind you that when someone talks about records, you have to understand that it is a journal, and depreciation, it is an expense. It means that we are going to start with a journal. This is the date. Details. Debit side and credit side. This is a journal. It is a journal. Now, the depreciation we are going to record, we shall start with the depreciation in 2018. We are at the end of the year, 31st December. Now, as I have said, a depreciation is an expense. It means that it has to be debited. This is depreciation to accumulated depreciation for motor vehicle, remember. Now the amount you have to write under this depreciation is about 3 millions, and the credit side once again 3 millions. Then we have to write narration. This is depreciation of 2018 recorded. Now, this is the first record. Now, allow me to interpret how those accounts shall be affected in the financial statement. As I have said, the depreciation is an expense. And remember, always expenses will affect the income statement by decreasing the profit of the company. Now, these accounts named accumulated depreciation for motor vehicle, once again it will appear in the balance sheet for decreasing the value of the assets. So the method of recording depreciation will always the same. Always we debit the depreciation account and the credit accumulated depreciation. Let me give you an example of recording depreciation at the end of the second year, 2019. I remind you that this is 2018. Now, for 31st December 2019, we shall debit again depreciation, and we credit accumulated depreciation for motor vehicle. This is motor vehicle, and the amount it will be the annual depreciation of 6 million. This is 6 million. Then always don't forget to write narration. This is depreciation of 2019 recorded. Now, as I have said, always at the end of each financial year, the depreciation will affect the income statement for decreasing the profitability of the company, because depreciation is an expense, and also the accumulated depreciation shall decrease the value of the assets. It is very, very important for writing the name of the asset in which you are recording its depreciation, because in the company we may have several fixed assets, and in that case we shall highlight the name of that asset which is depreciated. Now let me write it for you. That depreciation is an expense. This is an expense. Now, for all those who are following this session, I remain you a work of continue to record the depreciation at the end of the year 2020, 2021, 2022, and the 2023. That is the work. You shall continue with the process of recording such kind of depreciation. Now, we are going to see the effect of depreciation on the financial statement. Now, as if we are talking about the financial statement, generally, let us understand the income statement and the balance sheet. Let us go through the effect of those of depreciation to the profit and loss and to the balance sheet. We are going to see the depreciation and financial statement. Now, we may ask the question like this: what is the impact of depreciation expenses on the profitability, and how the depreciation will be reported in the balance sheet? We have a company called ABC. It has the balance sheet ended at the 31st December 2018. As you know, the balance sheet has the assets and has the liabilities. The assets, we have the fixed asset called the motor vehicle, amounted 35 millions. If you remember, for our example, the company called ABC has acquired a vehicle of 35 millions on the 1st July 2018. That asset must appear in its balance sheet of year ended 2018. Now we have the other assets like stock or inventory of 5 millions. You have receivables for 4 millions. You have the bank for 2 millions. Now the summation is 46 millions. For the liability side, the owners have invested the 13 millions as a capital. Now we have the payables for 4 millions. And if you remember, when we take the total assets minus the total liability, we found the profit. It means that the profit have received by taking the 45 millions and you have reduced the liability. If I show you how it has been founded in the balance sheet, so profit and loss is equal to the total asset of 46 millions and the total liability is capital and payables of 34 millions, and the answer is 12 millions, which are being reported as the profit and loss in the balance sheet. Now we have the income statement. The income statement of ABC at the 31st December 2018. We have the sales of 18 millions. We have reduced the cost of sales for 49 millions. The gross profit is about 31 millions. Then you have the expenses of salary, transport and office expenses amounted in total 19 millions. Then the net profit before tax is 12 millions, and if you know well, the profit and loss which is reported in the income statement will be the same as the profit and loss which reported in the balance sheet. Now, through the balance sheet we have, you understand, maybe if you focus well, there is no effect of depreciation. It means that the income statement and balance sheet, it was before, this is before depreciation. This is before. This is before depreciation. Now we are going to see the impact of depreciation to the financial statements. As I have said you previously, that depreciation, it is an expenses, it will decrease the profitability, and how the depreciation will be reported in a balance sheet. Let me start. This is ABC balance sheet. This is balance sheet after. This is after depreciation. Now remember to write the dates. This is, we are 31st December 2018. Then we know the part of the balance sheet, it is an assets and liabilities. Now, let me start. For the asset we have motor vehicle. This is motor vehicle for 35 millions. Then we are going to decrease the accumulated depreciation in the jar. We have seen it. Accumulated depreciation for vehicle will decrease the value of our assets. Now this is accumulated depreciation. Now for the year ended 2019, remember for the calculation, the depreciation was 3 millions. It have to be deducted, and then we shall remain with 32. We shall remain with 32 millions. This is the 32 millions is what you are calling the net book value of the fixed asset. Now, as nothing has been changed, we are going to write other assets we have. The current assets, we have stock for 5 million. We have the receivables. For 4 millions. We have the bank. We have the bank for 2 millions, and then we are going to find the total. This is about 32. This is 37. This is 41. This is a 43. Is about 43 millions. Then we have to write a capital which have not been changed for 30 millions. And I I would like to remind you that the profit and loss will be calculated after. Let me write payables. Payables, this is payables, for 4 million. Then, remember, to find the profit and loss, always we take the total asset minus the total liabilities. Now, profit and loss will be equal to the total asset for 43 millions minus 34. This is 34 millions. It is 34 millions of the total liabilities, and we shall remain with 9. This is 9 millions. It means that the profit and loss is about 9 millions, and the total is equal to 43 millions. In this case, what you have to consider, the accumulated depreciation will be reported in the balance sheet to change the original cost of the fixed assets in order to have the net book value. And also, as I have said, the depreciation is an expenses. It means that previously we had the depreciation of 12 millions. Now, as the depreciation for 3 millions have been deducted, it is the reason why we have remained with 9 millions. Now, we are going to see the income statement of ABC after depreciation. This is income statement at 31st December in 2018. Then we have, this is after depreciation, I have said, we have sales for 80 million. We have the cost of sales. We have the cost of sales for 49 millions. Then we have the difference, of course. We have the loss. Gross profit for 31 millions. Then we are going to deduct expenses. The expenses we have salaries. We have the salaries for 10 millions. Then we have the transport. We have the transport for 5 million. We have the office expenses. Office expenses for 4 millions. And remember, the depreciation once again is an expenses, it has to be reported. This is depreciation for 3 millions. Remember that it was depreciation for 6 months in 2018. Now we are going to calculate the total expenses. Now the total expenses is this is 15, this is 19, this is 22. This is 22 millions. Now the expenses are to be deducted in the gross profit in order to find the net profit before tax. Now when we take 31 minus 22, you found there is net profit before tax, which is equal to 9 millions, as it is the same as the net profit which have been reported in the balance sheet. So by conclusion for this, we understand that the depreciation, it is an expenses, it has to be reported in the income statement, and account accumulated depreciation always appear in the asset to decrease the value of the asset. And now, the last interpretation for the balance sheet, if someone writes that 35 millions, you shall find always as the value of acquisition when we decrease with accumulated depreciation, we shall find the net book value at the end of year. Means that at 31st December 2018, the value of the assets, the motor vehicle, is 32 millions. But you remember, on the date of acquisition, for the 1st July 2018, so the value of the asset was 35 millions. This is the effect of the depreciation on the financial statement, especially for the income statement and the balance sheet. Now, the next topic we are going to see the disposal of fixed assets. For the disposal of fixed assets, we shall see the meaning of disposal and how to record the disposal of fixed assets. Now, when I start with the meaning, so disposal of fixed assets, it means the sales of fixed assets before the end of using the assets, depending to the service life. Sometimes the company may get a certain challenge, or maybe a challenge of productivity, a challenge of accidents, and maybe decide to sell the assets. Now, when we sell the fixed assets, it's what you are calling the disposal of fixed assets. Now we are going to see how to record the disposal of fixed assets. I have said disposal of fixed assets is the same as sales of fixed assets. Now we are going to see records. The records are in the 4 steps. This is there is four steps. Now let us put in a journal. Now the first step, we have to remove the assets sold in the business by debiting the fixed assets disposal to fixed assets. Now it has to be recorded for the original cost. Now second step, we have to remove the business the accumulated depreciation of the fixed assets by debiting accumulated depreciation for fixed assets. Then you credit fixed asset disposal. The third one, this is the third one. We have to record the amount received on disposal by debiting cash or bank, and you credit the fixed asset disposal. Fixed asset disposal. Now, for those 3 steps, we are the next is to know if you have get profit on disposal or if you have get the loss on disposal. Now, these accounts, fixed asset disposal, will show either profit on disposal or loss on disposal. Now, if we get the profit on disposal, the account profit and loss will be credited. This is number 4. Number 4, 1, if it is profit, we debit the fixed asset disposal, and you credit profit and loss. This is in the case of profit, but on disposal we may get loss because sometimes we may sell an asset because of accidents. Now the asset, you get a loss during the sales of that asset. it will be the opposite record. Instead of crediting the profit and loss, we shall debit profit and loss and credit the fixed asset disposal item. This is like profit and loss accounts to fixed assets disposal. Then we debit account and then we credit an amount. Now we are going through the exercises to know how we may calculate the profit on disposal or the loss on disposal, depending to the exercises and the calculation. It will maybe help us to understand it well. Now let us go through the example. Assume that a computer acquired at 5 million to be used in 4 years with expected residual value of 200,000. Now after 2 years of use, it has sold at 3 million. Now required, we are going to calculate the annual depreciation under straight line methods. We give the reports on disposal and we shall respond to this question. How the computer disposal will affect the income statement. So this question is just related to know if we have get profit on disposal or if we have get the loss on disposal. Now let us start with calculating the annual depreciation under straight line method and then we give the record. Annual depreciation will be equal to the original costs, 5 million. We shall decrease with the salvage value, named residual value for 200,000, and we divide with the service life of 4 years. Now it means that 5 million minus 200,000 is 4 million 800,000. Now when we divide, we shall find 1,200,000. This is the annual depreciation. According to the exercises, the assets are being sold. They are being sold after 2 years. It means that this is depreciation for the first year and depreciation for the second year. It is the same for 1 million and 200,000. Now at this stage, before starting the records, we are going to calculate the total accumulated depreciation for this vehicle. Now total accumulated depreciation, this is for computer, is equal to the sum. This is first depreciation plus second 20,000, which is equal to 2 million and 400,000. As I have said, the disposal of fixed asset, it is recorded to in the 4 steps. The first step, we are going to remove the fixed assets in our books of accounts. Let us go to journal. This is a journal. Make a date, details, debit and the credit. So the assets have been sold to the second year. This is end of second year. Now we have to debit computer. Remember that our asset is called a computer. This is computer disposal to computer. Now the original cost of the computer, remember, it is 5 million. Now when it is sold, it has to be sold to the original costs. Now this is the first record. Now second record, we are going to write off the accumulated depreciation of the computer by debiting accumulated depreciation computer and credit to computer disposal. Now, total accumulated depreciation, remember, it is the sum of the first depreciation and the second depreciation, which is equal to 2,400,000. This is 2,400,000. This is writing off the accumulated depreciation of the computer because the computer is sold. Now the first one, this is the first step. Second step, for the first step, we are going to record the amount you have received on the sales of the computer. We have received 3 millions, either it was by cash or by bank. This is to the computer disposal. For how much? This is what we get. 3 millions. I will get 3 millions. Now, for the further steps, I have said when you arrive to the further steps, we are going to compare, or maybe to make the T form of computer disposal in order to know if there is a profit on disposal or if there is a loss on disposal. Now, let us make the T form. The T form, computer disposal, debit and credit. Now, when we look on the exercises, the computer disposal for the first record, it is debited. Now let us report debit for 5 millions. The computer disposal for the second record, it is credited 2,400,000. And for the third record, the computer disposal is credited. Now, we are going to make the sum. Total in the debit, the total is 5 millions. In the credit, the total is 5,400,000. Now, by closing an account, we have to write the biggest side, 5,400,000. This is 5,400,000. And then we underline. Then we have the borrowings carried down for 400,000. It means that when the credit side is greater than the debit side, this is the profit on disposal. But as if the debit side is greater than the credit side, that is the loss on disposal. Now, for this stage, we are going to record the profit on disposal, transfer the computer disposal, which show the profit, and transfer to the profit and loss as the last step. Now, number 4, we debit computer disposal and you credit profit and loss for amount of 400,000. This is records of profit on disposal of computer. Now, it means that after debiting the computer disposal, immediately the computer disposal is written off, and as if the computer have been credited, it will no longer appear in our financial statement, the balance sheet, and accumulated depreciation once again have been debited before writing off. Now, dear followers, this is how the profit on disposal is calculated, and I remind you that for the last step, it is not always crediting the profit and loss. The profit and loss may be debited when you have the loss on disposal, but in our case we have the profit on disposal, the reason why the profit and loss have been credited. Now we have the homework. Let us read together. There is a company purchased equipment for $30,000 on July 1st in 2012. It estimates that the equipment will have a salvage value of $2,000 and its useful life will be 7 years. Assuming that the company's accounting year ends on December 31st of each year, what will be the depreciation expenses for the year of 2012 and 2013? Assume straight line depreciation method is used. This is the end of the session today. Let us give a special thanks for RUHANGO-IKIREZI, and I give another special thanks for all trainees followed this session, and once again I give another special thanks for all other stakeholders followed this session, and I remind you to make a contact if there is a certain problem. 0788 48 81 03. So I thank you very much.
Mubyeyi, urifuza guteganyiriza umwana wawe ejo heza? Gana mu mashuri ya apejerwa ariyo Lycée de Ruhango-IKIREZI hamwe na Emeru Intwari. Muri Lycée de Ruhango-IKIREZI tubafitiye amashami akurikira: Culinary Art cyangwa se ibijyanye n'ubutetsi, hari level 1, level 3, level 4 ndetse na level 5. Food and Beverage Services tubafitiye level 3, level 4 ndetse na level 5. Tubafitiye kandi Accounting cyangwa se ibaruramari level 3, level 4 ndetse na level 5. Tubafitiye n'ubukanishi bw'amamodoka mu byiciro bikurikira: Auto Engine Technology level 3, Auto Transmission and Control System Technology level 4, Automobile Transmission and Control System Technology level 5. Tubafitiye n'ubwubatsi Masonry level ya 3, level ya 4 ndetse na level ya 5. Tubafitiye Tourism ubukerarugendo level ya 3, iya 4 ndetse n'iya 5. Turabibutsa ko tubafitiye n'icyiciro rusange Tonkome. Naho muri Emeru Intwari tubafitiye amashami y'umwaka umwe akurikira: Automotive Technology ubukanishi bw'amamodoka level ya mbere, Hairdressing ubwiza no gutunganya umusatsi level ya mbere, Tailoring ubudozi level ya mbere, Masonry ubwubatsi level ya mbere. Muri aya mashuri yombi tubafitiye abarimu b'inzobere harimo n'abaturuka hanze y'igihugu. Tubafitiye kandi n'amacumbi y'abakobwa ndetse n'ay'abahungu. Abanyeshuri bacu bakora ingendo shuri mu gihugu ndetse no hanze yacyo. Tubaha umwanya wo kwimenyereza umwuga mu bigo bijyanye n'ibyo biga. Dukorera kandi graduation abanyeshuri basoje amasomo yabo. Aya mashuri aherereye mu mujyi wa Ruhango hafi ya gare. Ku bindi bisobanuro mwaduhamagara kuri 0788366219 cyangwa se 0722356668. Mwanaduhamagara kandi kuri 0788366213 cyangwa se 0788202285. Mwanadusura kuri website y'ishuri www.apejerwa.ac.rw. Umurimo ukozwe neza utuma batugirira icyizere.